Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to BYJU'S exam prep. My name is Naveen, and today I'll be taking you through how to, make sure that you improve your CAT mock scores. We'll be discussing 10 points. Okay, all of these points should be taken very seriously. If you are struggling, you need to, if you follow these points, these methods, you will definitely improve your scores. So, I know that a lot of you must be struggling with your mock scores, right? You must be stuck at 70 percentile, maybe an 80 percentile, maybe a 50 percentile, and your scores must be fluctuating, your percentile must be fluctuating, right? So, how to go about that? Well, for that, you should definitely write as many mocks as possible. So, we at BYJU'S Exam Prep have brought you the All India Open Mock CAT 2022. So this is the third open mock that we have brought for you. So it's going to go live on 30th September until 9th of October. What all things will be given to you? You will receive the mock attempts by the experts. You will know your strengths and weaknesses. You will be given video solutions question wise, and it will help you devise a strategy for your CAT D-Day. Okay, so please do register now for this open mock. The link is given in the description below. It will be also spammed in the chat so that you don't miss out on it. Okay, so don't forget to register and do attempt the mock. It's not that you simply have to register, you should also attempt it. Yeah, good afternoon. Thank you, Varun. So let's discuss how to improve the mocks. In the meantime, please in the chat let me know what problems you guys are facing when it comes to mocks. Okay. In the meantime, I'll discuss the 10 points. Okay. So I'll just write down I've written down the points for you. Now we will go through each of these points in detail. So the first is you need to write as many mocks as possible, right? So what is how many mocks are, good enough? As in 10 mocks is good enough, 20 mocks is good enough. Well, there is no upper limit to it. You write 50 mocks, you write 60 mocks, you write 100 mocks, there is no upper limit to it. But you should be writing not less than 50 mocks. And 50 mocks or above is only possible for those people who have been writing the mocks since the mock started, somewhere in the month of May, April, May, June, right? If you are, at a place, at an institute, if you are studying from some place, and if you do not have any mocks, please go for some other mocks, so that you have a cumulative of at least 50 mocks. Well, some people will argue that, how come writing mocks is important? Mocks is important because it does not only help you, devise a strategy, it also helps you being consistent in it. Okay? Which is the next very important part of it. You need to analyze each and every mock. What all things we need to do when we analyze things? Do we simply solve the questions that we have not solved? Should I attempt the entire paper again? Should I, simply look at the solutions? What should we do? So, initially as in, let's say somewhere around 20 to 25 mocks, at least, you should take nothing less than 3.5 hours to analyze every mock. So, it's like almost half of a day, or maybe the entire day, depending upon you're working or not, will go into analyzing the mock after writing the mock. So once you are done with the mock, what you need to do is you need to reattempt the mock. I know it will be a little silly because you would already know the answers to some of the questions because you have already solved them, right? It's perfectly fine. Don't worry about it. Your target is to sit for exactly 2 hours and give yourself a sectional time limit, and then attempt all the questions. Now you see that are you able to attempt same number of questions, or are you able to attempt more questions out of it? Excuse me. Normally people will find that they are able to attempt more questions after the mock is done. So suppose you were able to attempt, let's say 20 questions initially, okay? And later on, when you analyze the mock, and while at that time when you are writing the mock as if it's a mock again, you are writing it in proper 2 hours, not like unlimited time. Then you will realize that you will end up solving, let's say 28 questions, maybe 30, maybe 35 questions. So what is this indication? What does this indicate? This tells you that your exam temperament is a very bad one. You are very much scared and you are very much anxious when you are actually facing the problem as compared to when you are thinking about a problem. If you are facing any issue or any difficulty in life, there are two things that happen. You know that tomorrow is an interview for your placements, let's say. So today you are all chill. You are like, interview hai, dekh lenge, we will, I'll sail through. But what happens tomorrow morning? When you actually sit for the interview and before the interviewers, before the panel, how well do you do? Are you still that chill? If no, then you have got a bit of anxiety problem. You are a little bit scared of the result. So in that case, nobody can help you but you. You have to be confident in everything that you are studying. You have to be confident in everything that you are solving. You have to feel confident in yourself. If you're not confident, see, overconfidence is bad, underconfidence is also bad. Underconfidence will not help you score, overconfidence will make you do a lot of silly mistakes. So you have to be good enough confident. How will you get that confidence? How will you get rid of that anxiety of your result and be equally chill while writing the actual exam as compared to writing it without any sectional time limit? You can be chill if you write a lot of mocks. Now what will happen is you'll get used to it, right? This is same that if you sit for only 2 placements, if you sit for interviews for only 2 placements, you are going to be little nervous and anxious. But if you are going to sit for, let's say 12, 15, 20 placements, by the end of 20th placement, you'll be like, kya hi naya pooch lenge? All the things that they have asked in the last 18, 19 placement interviews, that's what they are going to ask you. So you're like more prepared, right? The same thing is applicable over here as well. So when you are analyzing the mocks, so re-attempt the entire paper. Okay, so that will take 2 hours. So analyzing every mock will take you around 2 to 3 hours. Maybe you will be like, okay, I'm done with it. I do not have any more questions that I am able to solve. Maybe you will finish the paper in, let's say, 1.5 hours itself, because you already know, let's say 20 questions you have already solved. The other questions you're not able to. Now, once you have analyzed the mocks, then comes in the next point. Not analyzed, once you have attempted the paper. So form a register. Okay, in that register, take 3 pages. In the 3 pages, the first page is VARC. Okay, the second page is going to be called LRDI. The third page is going to be called QA. In the VARC, write down the topics that are asked in the exams. For example, you have got RCs, you have got parajumbles, you have got summarization, right? And you have to figure out the odd one out from there. So these are the 4 types. Now within RCs, you have got RCs related to technology, it is related to philosophy, it is related to history, it's related to arts and commerce, right? So they have their further classification types. In parajumbles, there is nothing much, right? In odd one out, there is nothing much. Summarization, there is nothing much. So write those in the table on the first page of the register as VARC, and then write down how many questions were there, and out of those many questions, how many questions did you think you were able to understand and solve it correctly? How many questions you understood but couldn't solve properly, and how many questions you did not even understand? So these are the 3 categories. You understood, went for it, got all the answers correct, or let's say 3 out of 4 correct. Second type, you understood it but you made mistakes. Third, you did not even understand. Same, go for LRDI. There are 2 parts, LR and DI. Within DI, you have got graphs. Within graphs, you have got bar graphs, line graphs, pie charts, scatter diagram. You have got web diagram. right? 3-axis diagram. So you've got tons of those. In LR, you have got arrangement, you have got combination, you have got all combination, you have got within arrangement, you have got linear arrangement, symmetrical arrangement, you have got set theory, you have got games and tournament, right? There are many classifications. So write down all those topics and see in that particular mock how many questions came from each of the topics, because that will help you later on, okay? So write down all those things. Once you are done with it, then again there are going to be 3 types of sets. Either you understood it and solved it easily, you understood it but you couldn't solve it, and the one that you couldn't even attempt, you couldn't even read, or you read it but you did not understand. Same will go for QA. QA has got 5 sections. You have got arithmetic, you have got numbers, you have got algebra, you have got geometry, and then you have got higher maths, which consists of permutation, combination, and probability, right? So you go through all these 5 topics and then list down how many questions are going to be there. In a very similar way, how we provide you with the video analysis, as in the mock analysis, the video section, we do the analysis of every section, no? You guys must have seen. We write down what all topics were asked, how many questions were there, and what was the level of difficulty. Same thing you have to do, but you have to also include one more thing, that apart from level of difficulty, you have to also mention that were you able to answer it or not. Once you have finished those 3 pages on the register for every mock, what you will realize is you will know your strengths and you will know your weaknesses. What are your strengths? Strengths are those questions which you understood and you answered. Strength is that part where you read a particular question, where you read a passage, where you read a paragraph, you understood it. What is the weakness? If you understood it, how come you were not able to solve? Did you make silly mistakes? Did you make calculation errors? Or did you have conceptual errors? If you have made silly mistakes or calculation mistakes, that is again something nobody can help you out but yourself. You have to go slow next time. You know in what kind of calculations you make mistakes. Some people make mistakes while reading the passage itself. They don't read the passage carefully and they miss out on maybe one sentence which was an important one. Or maybe they misunderstood a single phrase. Maybe the question said you have to find A out of B, and you thought, oh, they're asking us to calculate A into B. Well, A out of B means A divided by B. They're asking you the fraction, the share, or the percentage of it. So those silly mistakes wherein you skip a sentence because you are in a hurry, or you misunderstand a statement or a phrase, those silly mistakes can be avoided just by going a little slow. You know your weakness, right? You are in a hurry, you miss out on things. Dheere chalo agle mock mein. Don't make the same mistake. What about calculation errors? Now, calculation errors can only be, it can get better if you stop using calculator. Stop, not start using calculator. People think that if they use calculator, they are going to be more accurate. Well, that's not wrong. But the kind of calculator you are given, online calculator, it doesn't actually help, because you can't do a lot of calculations. You can only do basic calculations. And since it's an online web-based, it's slow. Sometimes you type in a 3, by the time it shows 3, you may have clicked 3 times, 4 times. So suddenly you see there are so many 3s written. And if you're not paying attention to what you are typing, you will get a different answer, right? So calculators will definitely make you slow. So in order to, not make silly mistakes in calculations, don't use calculators. Solve it normally and take it slow. See, it's better to take 1 or 2 minutes more in a set or in a question and make it correct, rather than taking 1 minute less and and solving it wrong. That's a wrong thing. You are wasting time over there, right? You have already given 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes to a question और गलत कर दिया, या 3.5 minutes लेके सही कर लो, क्या दिक्कत है, right? So you will know your weakness over here. You will also know about your weaknesses from those types of questions which you could not even understand, right? So the questions that you did not understand, you need to study those topics. You need to study those types of questions, practice on them, use logic. That why do they write such thing in a solution when the statement says such? You have to find pattern in everything. Even though there are something that is going to be completely Greek to you even until the end of the course or the preparation, but you know that when something like this is given, this is what I need to do. For example, when questions related to percentage, if a statement says what percentage of A is B, and you look at the solution, you will see that, oh, they have done B by A and not A by B. Okay. So what percentage of A is B? में ये B by A कर रहे हैं, A by B नहीं कर रहे, है ना? So this is like a standard rule. Next time when you read what percentage of total area is that of the entire area, so you know which number to divide with which number. It's total area divided by the area that is under cultivation or whatever was given, right? Okay, next thing. If you want to improve your speed, you should know some shortcuts, some formulae. And those shortcuts or formulae may be discussed in the class itself by your teacher. There are going to be shortcuts or formulae that you may have come up with your own. But at the end of this syllabus, which is something like by the end of September or October mid, you should have a notebook with all the shortcuts written. That is good. But then try to simplify it, because there will be a lot of shortcuts and formula, right? So usko simplify karo. For example, there is a formula which is like AB upon A plus B. You guys must have come across this formula. The same formula, the same shortcut is used in ratios. This is used in averages. The same formula is used in TSD. The same formula is used in time and work. The same formula is used in geometry also. Not in all the questions, of course, in some very standard question. So instead of remembering that in this type of question I use this formula, how about you go vice versa? You look at a formula and you're like, okay, this formula can be used in all of these types of questions, right? So this is what you need to do. You need to simplify your formula book into lesser number of formulas, okay? For example, I'll take another example. In order to remember what is the total volume of a cone or any pyramid, you have a standard formula, so that if you remember the standard formula, you don't have to remember different formulas for every different pyramid, है ना? एक formula याद करो, सब होंगे. So formula and shortcuts are important. This will help you solve some of the questions quickly. Exam is not about somebody's trying to check how much of knowledge you have. No. Even if you have no knowledge whatsoever, still you can ace an exam. You are like, मेरे को shortcut पता था. I knew that in such kind of language, in such kind of values, this is the shortcut that I have to put. I put it, I get the answer. How does it matter if I skipped all the steps? How does it matter that I did not even write anything? At the end of the day, the score is all that is important. Nothing else. How you get to that score, nobody cares. Right? Next point is, do not make the same mistakes over and over again. Like I talked about silly mistakes. Once you figure out, once you catch your mistake that you are skipping phrases or sentences, because sometimes in DI, after the graph is given, beneath that, after that, some formula or some important statement is written. Because we are in a hurry, by the time the graph is over, we are like, question set khatam ho gaya. We skip sometimes those. So if you have done that mistake, don't do it next time. Next time you read the entire thing. Okay, don't skip it. Next, you should be confident in some definite type of questions. What do you mean by definite type of question? So it means two things. First, a standard type of question. For example, you are confident in, let's say, SICI. Okay. So if you are confident in SICI, practice to a certain extent. Don't practice every day. I know that I know a lot of students who feel that their algebra is strong, so they practice only algebra. Kyun bhai? If algebra ke questions you are able to solve 7 to 8 out of 10 overall, if I look at the accuracy, why do you want to solve a lot of algebra questions? That is not going to make you solve 10 out of 10. That is never going to happen. Doesn't matter for how many years you solve algebra. Day in, day out algebra solve karte raho. In the exam, you won't be able to solve all of them. So if you are at a level of 7, 8 or 9 questions, it's brilliant. Anything less than 7 means you need to actually practice. So that is one definite type of question, as in the ones that you are confident in. Second definite type of questions are the question language in the mocks or in the exam. Those are definite statements. For example, I'll give you two cases. Okay, so build a contrast between them. One question says, what is the number of marbles Gunnu has? Okay, and the second one is, what is the maximum number of marbles Gunnu can have? The first one will result in a specific answer, as in it will always give you a specific value. While the second, because they have asked you the maximum number, it means there can be a lot of cases out of which you need to find the maximum one. So the first one is called a definite question, or a question with a definite answer. The second one is called an indefinite, as in you get a range, you get a minima or maxima scenario. Okay, so these are the contrasts that you have to build, understand. So questions which are definite ones, they are relatively easier and relatively easier to solve and score. Okay, so you have to go after them. Now you are practicing everything. Suppose you want to learn how to play video games. Let's talk about Free Fire. You want to play Free Fire on mobile, so you're playing it, you know everything, you know how to kill the enemies, and you know how to score, you know how to stay alive until the last zone and everything, you know all of that. But then if you want to move a step ahead, only practice and people who are already ahead will help you know. जो आगे गया है, they will tell you how they have reached ahead of you, right? They will tell you what extra do you need to do, how do you need to change the sensitivity of the controls, what are some tricks, should you actually go after your enemy or should you wait for them to come out. So those tricks are important. Those tricks will only be told by someone who is ahead of you. Someone who has failed will not be able to tell you, because that person did not reach there. So it's very important that you go through the mock attempts by the experts. Therein they will tell you that what to expect from such a question. How can you maximize your score? How do you understand what is the level of difficulty of a paper just by reading the questions? So if you follow those suggestions by the experts, you will have a pretty good idea that you can replicate the same thing in your own mocks. You are reading the question and you are behaving as if you are an expert. And you are like, okay, fine, I find that this question is difficult for me, which is like I am a better than average student, so it must be difficult for more than half of the people, right? So it's like, if I'm able to do it, it means I'm going to move a step ahead. But if I'm not able to do it, it means I'm not in that category which is better than average people. So this is what you need to think, and these all thoughts will cross your mind the moment you start watching mocks by the experts. People generally watch mocks by the experts just by checking how they solve it. Well, that is important, how they solve it, because they solve it using very good logic, very good concepts. They generally do not use equations and all that. That is a good thing. But also how to understand what is the level of difficulty of paper, because that will help you select or eliminate a question, right? If the level of difficulty is high, you leave the question. If it is low, you go ahead and solve it. Next thing, do not worry about your score or percentile. Nobody cares, guys. Nobody cares. So what should we worry about? If you're not going to be worried about score or percentile, you should be worried about your accuracy. Score, percentiles, side. Accuracy. Because if you improve your accuracy, you will eventually get the score that you require. Eventually, you will. So what is accuracy? Accuracy means how many questions you attempted, not how many exist. How many questions you attempted, and out of those many, how many were correct. Suppose I solved, I marked the option for 10 questions. ऑप्शन जो मार्क करा उसको अटेम्प्ट करना कहते हैं. जिनको पढ़ा बट डिड नॉट मार्क एनी ऑप्शन, दैट इज नॉट कॉल्ड अटेम्प्टेड. दैट इज सेम as if I did not read the question, right? So all those questions wherein you mark the options, those are called attempted questions. Suppose if I mark 10 questions in LRDI, out of those 6 were only correct, then we will say that my accuracy was 6 out of 10. We say that it's 60% accuracy. So before, when I said your accuracy should be 7, 8 or 9 out of 10, I was expecting your accuracy to be 70% and above. Because 70% and above accuracy is pretty good. People will never have 100% accuracy in the entire exam. They may have an accuracy of 100% maybe in one of the sections because they're very good at that section, but they will never have 100% accuracy in all the 3 sections combined. And also, no student will be able to solve all the questions, especially in VARC and LRDI. In QA, it's sometimes possible to attempt all the questions and all are correct. पूरे के पूरे questions attempt किए, सारे सही हो गए. There are students who are able to do it, but in VARC and LRDI, it's next to impossible. Okay, the paper is made in such a way. So your accuracy should be greater than or equal to 70%. So right now, if you're struggling to reach to that accuracy, you have to go through all of these points that we have discussed. इधर से लेके इधर तक जाना है. Next, do not read anything and everything. The syllabus of CAT is kind of defined as well as not defined. Defined as in, we know from the previous year papers what all types of questions they are going to ask. We know that they are never going to ask us high-end calculus where differentiation, integration, limit, continuity, matrices, vectors and all those things are included. We know that they are never going to ask from there. So that part is defined, that you're not going to get questions from those. But within the topic of permutation or combination, or within the topic of geometry, what is the limit to what they can ask? That is undefined. So if you're thinking that you will be able to complete this syllabus as in you will be now prepared, you will be like, okay, CAT, you throw me any question, I'll be able to solve it. You are going wrong. You will always come across some question where you won't have any idea what to do with it because you have never seen such a question. Me, in my past 22 years of teaching, I still come across a lot of questions, not in exams, but questions given by students. Questions I find somewhere online, in some books, where I have never seen it. I have no idea which concept they are going to use. It's not the language, it's the entire concept, no idea. So that is something that you have to think. That means, rather than the concept and mugging up the things, you have to understand the application of it. Because if you understand the application of things, it doesn't matter which part of the syllabus they are going to give you question to from, right? You will be able to do it. So this is what is important. You should not read anything, everything, because if you are trying to go for everything, you will never be able to complete the syllabus. You keep on studying for next 5 years. CAT ka syllabus nahi hoga khatam. And if you are trying to read anything means a friend of yours has sent you a question and like, beta karke dikha. Okay, you have joined a Telegram or a WhatsApp group where people are sending questions and you are looking at the question like, oh, wow, what a question. Should I go after this? Should I try it? If you find it difficult, as in if you find it a question where a lot of students may have come across this question, I believe, something like 12 to the power 13 to the power 14 plus 17 to the power 18 to the power 19. What is the last 2 digits of this question? Suppose ये question है. A lot of people will run after it, especially engineers. They'll be like, okay, this is a very good question to test my ability. No doubt. It's a very good question to test the ability of yours. How well do you know how to calculate the last 2 digits of a number? But this question is never going to come in any exam. Because you as an engineer or you as a mathematician, not mathematician like a scientist mathematician, but somebody who loves mathematics, this is good question for you. But think about others who are not good at maths. They won't be able to solve it. So the competitive exams, they think all about this. They are like, let's not give a question where a student who did not have maths in 11th and 12th will have a lesser advantage. Let's give a question where everybody will have equal advantage. So they will give you questions like those. So such a question will never come. So this is like, do not read anything. Why do waste time solving it? हाँ, आगे बस इतना ही खाली टाइम है, इसका मतलब ये आपने सिलेबस कंप्लीट कर लिया है कि आप ऐसे बेकार से क्वेश्चन सॉल्व कर रहे हो. क्यों कर रहे हो? अगर if you have so much to study, do not solve such questions. You look at the question, you're like, way too difficult for CAT. Ignore it. क्या होगा? It is not, nobody is going to point out that, you know what, you did not solve that question, you're not good enough for the CAT exam, you're not good for IIMs. No. There is a certain level of difficulty when it comes to every competitive exam. Okay, so you have to stay there. याद है boards में क्या होता था? If they give you a question out of syllabus from the boards, people, they file a complaint in the court कि this question was out of the syllabus, we need marks for that. मतलब हम लोग उस लेवल पे थे कि सिलेबस से बियॉन्ड होने पे we were like we complain. और अब CAT and competitive exams में we are like सिलेबस के बाहर है तो मतलब मेरे को पढ़ना चाहिए. नहीं जी, there is a certain limit of level of difficulty. The last point is you need to set foot, jog and then sprint. Means you need to take it slow. The very first mock, if you are thinking you will ace the exam and you will get 100 percentile, not going to happen. In your 10th mock, if you are thinking you will get a 99 percentile, not going to happen. People who are getting 99 or 100 percentile, they are people from different leagues. And it's not that they are writing the mocks for the first time. They may have written mocks before. They may be repeaters. Generally, they are the repeaters, right? For example, I don't remember every year, but in the year 2019, there were 900 percentilers. Out of those 9, 7 of them were repeaters. And out of those 7, 6 of them were writing CAT for the past 4 years. आप उनसे compete करोगे जो 4 साल से कर रहा है वही काम. Very difficult, right? So you need to limit your expectations. It's good that you do not have any limit to your expectations, but you need to have that my limit right now until the end of September is this. मैं इससे beyond नहीं जा सकता. In a very similar way, if you're writing your 10th mock or your 12th mock or your 15th mock, you should know looking at your first mock. In the first mock, you scored a 45 percentile, let's say. Then in 15th mock, you cannot expect your percentile may suddenly get doubled. It may reach up to 75 or 80. So, agar 15 mocks mein you have reached from 45 to 80 percentile, then in the next 15 mocks, you will reach from 80 to 90 to kar loge bhaiya. And within 50 mocks, don't you think you will reach 97, 98, 99? You will. You have to be patient. You can't straight away expect that मैं पहले दिन रेस करूं और मैं उसेन बोल्ट से तेज दौड़ लूं. नहीं जी, कोई नहीं कर सकता ऐसा. ठीक है? So these 10 points should always be in your mind so that you don't panic. You should know like, चलो कोई तो मेरे साथ है. Somebody understands me that there is certain limitation to everybody's capability, right? Now let me give, okay, in the meantime I believe you guys must have given the problems. So Varun says he scores well in quant and VRC section. His score goes down in LRDI and vice versa. And so how to balance equally all in all, he is not able to get this strategy. For difficult calculations, can we use the calculator? For difficult calculations, for example, if you're solving a question, Varun, and the last step is this 24.37 into 6.83. Okay. And you know that it's going to be a 4-digit after decimal point. And if you look at the options, you have only 2 decimal places given. So even the last digit will not help you. Doing an approximation, 24 into 6 is 144. 24 into 7 is going to be 170. So answer should be somewhere between 144 से 170 के बीच में, approximately 168 to be precise. So if you can find an answer to this range, good. Otherwise, straight away pick up the calculator, solve it. एक step अगर आपको answer टिक करने के लिए रोक रहा है तो calculator use कर लो. But if you're solving a question and at the initial stage you are trying to use the calculator, you have not even reached the last statement or the penultimate statement of your equation. It's bad. You are bad at it. Because except for DIs, there is no other type of question ever in a CAT exam where in the initial stage itself you will have to use a calculator. Even if they give you ganda wala fraction, still you will not require a calculator. Okay. Now let's take an example. Suppose you want to box. Okay. you want to start boxing, or anybody wants to start, their career in boxing, or they just want to spar a bit. How do they start? What is the cycle? Suppose मेरे को कल से boxing सीखनी है, I want to start it. What am I going to do? I can learn it on my own. I can join a particular gymkhana. I can go to a gym and I can learn from someone who already knows it. But what should be my cycle, as in how should I start? Should I pick up the gloves tomorrow itself and start punching the bag? No, it's not going to work out. So you need to build the stamina first. What happens? You start running. You wake up early in the morning, 4 o'clock, 3:30, 4:30 in the morning. In that early morning, you start working out. You do your exercises, you go to the gym, you spar a bit just to get your moves right, so that you know which body part you need to put in extra weight or the extra effort, extra movement, so that you can work moving on those body parts. For example, can you keep your hands like this for the next 15 minutes? No, if your shoulders hurt, तो boxing क्या लड़ोगे 15 minutes आप with the gloves on. So you need to build your shoulders. Can you keep on jogging at the same place for the 15 minutes? No, if you can't, it means you need to jog first before you pick up your gloves. So once you know your routine, you improve everything. Then you will learn the new moves, then you will spar, and then you will get into the ring. And once you get into the ring, is it like you're going to win? Is it like you'll be like, oh, my opponent, I practiced more, I have more experience, I've exercised for more months than my opponent, but still I lost? You can't do anything about it. It's about the D-Day. And in those 15 minutes, in those 5 minutes, in those 9 minutes, who was better? Did he have better moves? Did you make mistakes? Did he make mistakes? Were you able to improvise on that? That all is important. So you may learn 10 moves, but are you able to apply it? That's important. So whether you win or lose, what happens? The cycle continues. Does it ever stop? No. You win, you lose, it doesn't stop. Same thing is with the mocks, guys. You don't start practicing, as in you don't start as in reading the subject and reading the concepts and solving. That's not how it's going to work. What you need to do is, you need to first of all write a mock. Write a mock, know your shortcomings, then work accordingly. Go back to writing a mock, see how much you have improved, whether you have improved, whether you have lost. Don't worry, keep on improvising, keep on working, and that cycle continues, and eventually you're going to be a winner. It takes time, it takes patience, it takes a lot of effort. Not going to happen overnight, not going to happen in a 1 month's time. It takes 2.5 to 3 months to reach there. Okay? So there are 3 types of students. Are you a beginner? You will have a different strategy. Are you an amateur? You will have a different strategy. Are you a professional? You will have a different strategy. Are you a beginner means, did you just start the preparation? I believe none of you have just started the preparation. You guys must have started preparation way back, maybe in month of May, June, maybe January, maybe last year. So if you have written mocks, are you stuck at 40 percentile to 60 percentile? That means you are a beginner. So what you need to do is, you need to attempt a mock, your first step. Forget about whatever you have done until today. Okay? अभी से पहले क्या करा है, कितनी पढ़ाई करी है, how many mocks you have written, how many classes you have attended. Forget about all of that. This is like a fresh start. So attempt a mock. Next, attempt only those questions that you are confident about. Don't attempt any as in don't mark any tukkas, don't attempt any question. You're like, this is some question that I did in 11th and 12th or maybe 10th standard. एक बार फिर try मारते हैं. Don't do that. Okay, don't do that. Then do the analysis like we discussed initially in the first 15 minutes, right? Figure out your strengths and weaknesses. Whatever strengths you have, work a little bit more on that. And whatever weaknesses you have, Work a lot on that. So go through the concepts and practice them. So go through the concepts of your weaknesses and practice both your strengths and weaknesses. And again attempt the next mock. So what should be the gap between two mocks? Well, it depends from person to person, depends how many mocks you are left with. So on an average, I would say, this is September going on, right? This is the last week of September that has just begun. So let's say by mid of October, you should be attempting 1 to 2 mocks per week, not more than that. So this cycle will require some time, no? Because you have to practice and go through the concepts, right? So 1 to 2 mocks. So let's say if you gave your first mock on a Sunday, then the next mock should be Wednesday or Thursday. So you should have 2 to 3 days gap so that you can work on it. Because आपके mock दे रहे हो और पढ़ नहीं रहे हो तो help नहीं मिल रहा, right? So this is for those people who are stuck at 40 to 60 percentile, as in you are a beginner. What if you're an amateur? As in, are you scoring somewhere between 60 percentile to 80, 85 percentile? If you are in this range, your strategy is going to be a little different. You're going to attempt a mock. Again, forget about whatever you have done till today. You're going to attempt as many questions as you can. You know it. You don't know the answer. Obviously, you're not going to mark anything. वो तो तुक्का हो जाएगा. When I'm saying attempt, as in, I'm asking you to solve even the questions that you think you know. Not like कि मैं guesswork करूँगा. Guesswork तो कभी नहीं करना है ना? So you are going to attempt as many questions as you can. Do the post-mock analysis. Find out your only weaknesses. Don't think about strengths. जो strength है ना, वो strength ही रहेगा. If you are good at rapping, you will remain good at rapping. Rapping for thousands of hours more will not help you improve to that extent, which if you are a beginner and you will practice rapping for 1000 hours, the level of increase that you will have, the improvement you will see in the first 1000 hours, you will not find the same in the next 1000. So जो strength है ना, उस पे और काम करके ना आप time waste कर रहे हो. You need to only figure out your weaknesses and then go through the concepts and practice those weaknesses. Forget about your strengths. Now, how do I know which topics are my strengths? Like we discussed before, you're going to draw a register. You're going to pick up a register, have 3 pages, list down the questions, how many questions you have so far, you have attempted, how many of them were correct. Anything 70% and above accuracy means that topic is your strength. For example, if I look at profit, loss and discount, I have attempted so far 8 mocks. Out of those 8 mocks, there were a total of 27 profit, loss and discount questions. Okay, I'm just giving a rough example. Out of those 27, I was able to attempt 27 पे calculate नहीं करना है. Out of 27, I was able to attempt only 15 of them. And out of those 15, I had 11 correct. So there were 27 questions. I attempted 15 of them and the correct were 11 of them. How good is it? It's very good. 11 out of 15 is good. Okay. So it's not bad, I will say. So if I have got such a good accuracy, मेरे को ये बताओ, मेरी accuracy अगर इतनी बढ़िया है, तो why am I not attempting more questions? Because if I had attempted 27 questions, double of that, somewhere around 20 to 21 questions would have been correct. So if I know that my profit, loss and discount topic is good, why am I not attempting those questions? So those are my strengths. Working on those questions will not help me improve. हाँ, practice करने से you will keep in touch with it. If you revise, you will just be in touch with it. Don't worry about it. That doesn't mean for the entire day you're going to revise for it. Revise for an hour or 2, or instead of time, let's limit our revision to number of questions. So attempt, let's say 20-25 random questions and see how many you're getting correct. Build a bit of confidence, but you need to really work on your weaknesses, guys. Suppose I have a topic, let's talk about modulus. In the last 8 mocks, let's say there were a total of 9 questions on modulus, and out of those 9 questions, I attempted 3 of them. Okay, so these were the questions that were there in the mocks. I attempted 3 of them and none of them was correct. ये मेरा weakness है. This is a topic I'm very weak at. I need to make sure that my accuracy improves along with my number of attempts. So modulus करने में कितना time जाएगा? Max 1 day. You start with the concept. Look at our video, the sessions that we take, right? The classes. We discuss everything over there, all the varieties of questions that exist in modulus. They have got special categories. Write them as your notes or your formula book. And then look at those formulas. Start attempting the questions, not mocks में नहीं. जब आप practice कर रहे हो, look at the formula, solve it. Look at the formula, solve it. After a certain time, get rid of the formula. You have solved enough number of questions. You kind of now remember in what type of questions, what to use, how to improvise. Now solve for the few more questions. It will hardly take a day, that is like 8 hours at most, to have a very good command on modulus, so that in the next mock or the all the mocks in the future, you will never ever skip a question on modulus, because it's an important topic. Exam के point of view से भी, है ना? So if you're an amateur, which I believe most of you are, this is what you are missing out on. You are studying things that you're already confident in. You are wasting your time there. Next is, are you a professional? As in, are you at already a 90 percentiler? Now, this is a very, very risky gap, because people who have, let's say, if I'm a student who have just passed or crossed a 90 percentile for the first time, in the very next mock, my percentile drops to 78 percentile. क्या हो गया भाई? I panic. I start looking for other types of questions. I start looking into more videos and more concepts, क्योंकि मैं तो गड़बड़ कर गया. नहीं, कोई गड़बड़ नहीं हुआ. Just that day was not yours. Okay? Or maybe in the one mock where you got a 90 percentile, that was a fluke. One of the two things is going to happen. या तो आप गलती से अच्छा कर गए या गलती से खराब हो रहा है. If you were consistently at 90 percentile and above, and if you fall down to 78ish, 80, 85, kuch bhi, if there is a drop, the problem is not you. The problem is the timing. The problem is the day. The problem is the luck. The kind of questions that you face are the questions that you have never encountered before. So that was completely new to you. You were taken aback. You were a little panicked. All of those things will happen. Because suddenly, it's not that everybody studied so much that they surpassed you. वो तो नहीं हो रहा. Everybody is studying at their own pace. वो same flow में जाता है. So what you need to do for those? Attempt a mock. Attempt all the questions. सारे करोगे. ठीक है? For example, people generally say, even I say, in VARC you should not attempt all the questions. But that is just for the beginners and amateurs. You should not attempt all the questions. You will have negative marking at the end of the day. But for people who are already 90 percentile, you guys are already doing good in each of the 3 sections. That's why you're getting 90 percentile. So you have to attempt all the questions. Try to do that. The questions that you are not able to attempt, you will figure them out from the post-mock analysis. You will know from that register pages which questions you were not able to attempt even though you read them twice. You had no idea what to do. Don't solve that question. Get to the root of it. This question is from which topic which I'm not able to get every time, or maybe 2 out of 3 times. Practice and practice and practice. That's all you can do. There is no concept for you to learn. The concept that is learned is going through only those points which are going to be very, very small points. Trust me, it's not that you have completely missed one topic. ऐसा नहीं है. अगर missed completely one topic, you would not be getting 90 percentile consistently. It's just that you missed only one application of that topic. That was the problem. Okay? And to answer Varun's query, where he said that he is doing well in VARC and QA, but he fails to do in LRDI and vice versa. So Varun, it happens. For example, if you have that, if you try to, let's say pull dumbbells using your right hand for the first time, you will be able to, maybe let's say you will be able to do 20 reps. 20 repetitions. Using a left hand, you will be able to do 18 of them or maybe only 15 of them. And last के एक दो ना जबरदस्ती कर रहे होगे, है ना? When your two hands are not equally good, nobody is ever going to have all the three sections equally good. ये कभी नहीं होने वाला है. So, which sections are generally good for people? People who are generally, okay, there is always a general, it's not a sure short thing because there are always exceptions. So generally people will face, difficulty in VRC, or they're going to face difficulty in LRDI. Very few people face difficulty in QA. Reason being, it's basic maths. If you practice, you will eventually reach there. But LRDI में कितना भी practice कर लो, VRC में कितने भी RCs कर लो, there is always an RC जो दगा दे जाता है, that backfires. You thought that it was easy, these were the answers, and it turns out that those were not, right? So people struggle with VRC and LRDI a lot. So here is your answer. Stop solving a lot of QA because you will clear the cutoff most probably. QA is only for people to improve your overall score because you can't improve your overall score using LRDI or VARC. But QA jaldi jaldi hota hai, so QA mein is easier. So you need to work more on your VARC and LRDI sections. Okay, for LRDI, solve as many sets as possible. 4 sets, 3 sets, 5 sets every day without fail in one sitting. ऐसा नहीं कि एक सेट करा फिर उठ के गए 10 मिनट पानी वानी पी कर आए. No. Sit continuously for 2 hours, 2.5 hours, solve 4-5 sets. Keep on solving it unless you don't get it. Same goes for RC. Sit for 2 hours and solve as many RCs you can. Because if you can practice, if you can, mold your body and your mind that it can sit for 2 hours and solve RCs, you will find it much easier to sit for just 40 minutes in the mocks and the exam and solve 2 or 3 RCs. बहुत आसान हो जाएगा फिर. क्योंकि बॉडी और माइंड मोल्ड हो चुका है. यू हैव टू ओनली वर्क ऑन द टाइप्स ऑफ क्वेश्चंस. ओके, सेम गोज फॉर पैराजंबल्स ऑल्सो. सिट फॉर 30 मिनट्स कंटिन्यूअस. सो दिस इज व्हाट यू शुड डू. ओके, डोंट सॉल्व एनी क्वेश्चन, जस्ट पिक अप 10 पैराजंबल्स random from a book, from some source that you have, from the class handouts. Okay, pick up 10 parajumbles that you have never solved, keep it on side, look at the timer, start. 30 minutes ka time though. Solve all those 10 parajumbles within those 30 minutes. Your target is not before 30 minutes. Your target is take 30 minutes. Pura time lo, last second tak lo, but your target is to make as many of them correct as possible. If in a particular parajumble you are not sure, don't solve it. As in, don't mark कि ये sequence होगा और बाद में check कर लेंगे. You are bluffing yourself if you are doing it. The question you know is difficult, you are not sure about it, still you are writing it down, you are bluffing. You are making yourself miserable at the end of the day because those questions are going to make your score go dip, right? So improve more on VRC and LRDI. That will definitely help. So I hope I was able to answer your query. Yes, Kamal. Suraj, no, not all mocks are tougher than CAT. It's not. So what Suraj happens is, anyone who makes a mock, they do one of the two things. Okay, so either the mock is difficult or the mock is going to be lengthy. Okay, lengthy means you won't be able to read all the questions, all the RCs. Okay, all the parajumble summarization, LRDI सारे नहीं देख पाओगे, QA complete नहीं हो पाएगा. So that is lengthy. Some questions are going, some mocks are going to be difficult. Difficult as in QA, you will have to write a lot of equations. You will have to solve a lot. For example, look at CAT 2018's paper. It was not lengthy. It was difficult. Without using pen and paper, without solving equations, there was hardly any question in QA that you could have solved. So there were almost no sitters. That difficult was QA of CAT 2018. If you take up any year's CAT paper and if you look at QA, there are going to be approximately 20% to 33%, as in 5 में एक question या 3 में एक question, ये range है, that you will always find that you can solve it without doing anything. Question देखा, oh अच्छा, this number should be in the table of 7, अच्छा, option C is in the table of 7, mark करा, आगे बढ़ गया. Sitters, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 30 seconds after reading the question, of course. So that was the case. So mocks are made in these two ways. Now, in a particular mock, whether it is a lengthy or difficult, not all the three sections are going to be that way. So people who make the mocks, they choose कि इस बार बच्चे को VARC difficult है, LRDI difficult है, QA generally नहीं होता है. QA is always a substandard, a super standard, so it lies between it. एक level से थोड़ा नीचे, CAT से थोड़ा आसान, CAT से थोड़ा difficult, इसके बीच हमेशा चलेगा. That's the reason why the scores in VARC and LRDI fluctuates a lot. So this mock was QA, so this mock was VARC difficult, LRDI was easy. तो मेरा VARC में कम मार्क्स आ रहा है, LRDI में ओके. Next mock they changed it, तो मेरा LRDI में खराब मार्क आ गया, VARC ठीक चला गया. I'm not able to understand चल क्या रहा है. If you forget about what level of mocks they are giving, if you can understand that the level of difficulty of the particular paper is high, then a certain score is good enough. जैसे कि VRC में if you score 30 marks in a difficult paper, that is very good in a mock. Right now, you have to eventually reach 40, 42. पर अभी के लिए 30 number is brilliant. And anyone who has scored 30 marks in VRC will vouch for that. कि 30 marks में कितना percentile आता है सबको पता होगा. Why? Paper difficult था भाई. And if the paper is easy, automatically you are not going to score 30. Your score will increase to 37, 38, 40. वो अपने आप बढ़ जाएगा. ठीक है? So shouldn't worry about the percentile and the score. That's the reason I am saying again and again, work on your accuracy. People who are amateurs and people who are beginners, work on your accuracy, please. People who are professionals, you have to work on your speed. सारे questions करने हैं, ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा करने हैं. छोटे-छोटे questions जो miss out कर रहे हो, make sure that you do them. Practice more on LRDI because you are able to solve only 2.5 LRDIs or maybe 2 LRDI with 10 questions, 6 and 4 का. Your target is to now go after the third LRDI. ये करना है. Attempt DI first, attempt LR later. DI is always relatively easier. All you need to do is do the calculation. उसमें कोई कॉन्सेप्ट और वैसा गंदा वाला लॉजिक नहीं लग रहा होता है. LR में लगता है. LR में टाइम लगता है. LR में you have to reread some statements like 5 times. DI, you read it once, you look at the questions, you know what all calculations you need to do. Right? So, at the end of the day, this is what I will say, that the type of mistakes and the type of questions you're going to come across are going to be one of these 6 types. The first one is, you came, you conquered. As in, the questions that are definite hit. Something you are sure about. Something that you read, you know, अरे ये वाला question, ये तो ऐसे है, मेरे बाएं हाथ का खेल है. And you will be able to answer it. Sorry, बाएं हाथ का खेल है. The second one is, you live once. The type of questions that you are like, I'm not sure about it, but I will definitely give it a try. और वो सही हो जाता है. For example, you are afraid of the heights and you want to go parasailing. डर लगता है पर parasailing करना है. You are not sure that if you will be scared or not. Whether your video is going to be viral or not. You're not scared, you're not worried about that. You're like, एक बार try करके देखते हैं. So, those are risky hits. Something that you're not sure about, you try it and it turns out कि चलो लग गया, चलो काम बन गया. तुक्की की बात नहीं कर रहा मैं. I'm talking about a question that you were not sure about, you solved it and eventually you're like, अरे आंसर आ गया, very good. QA or LRDI or parajumble. Okay. The third one is where you do the tukkas. So stupidity is not making mistakes. Stupidity is making mistakes over and over and over again. Same mistake. So if you are making calculation mistakes, if you're skipping words and phrases from RCs and LR sets, if you're misreading certain words in QA or RC, तो वो आप एक बार कर दिया, आपने गलती पकड़ ली, रोना धोना हो गया, सब हो गया, कंप्लेन कर लिया. नेक्स्ट मार्क में भी वही कर रहे हो, उसके अगले क्यों कर रहे हो फिर? राइट? डोंट बी अ क्राई बेबी. सो डोंट डू समथिंग, डोंट मेक मिस्टेक्स that you know those are mistakes. Okay? And there are something that is not going to be in your control. For example, if you improve a lot on your accuracy and you're not making calculation errors whatsoever, पर एक मॉक आएगा जहां हो जाएगा भाई. In the actual exam, you will make a silly mistake. It's okay. मालूम है कैसा silly mistake होता है actual exam में CAT में? You got your answer as 210, some number. You were about to mark option B. पर click C हो गया, आपने ध्यान भी नहीं दिया. Save and next. When the answer key comes out, you're like, when did I mark C? You actually did. If somebody was watching you from behind, they will be like कि तुमने गलत मार्क कर दिया, तुम्हें पता भी नहीं चला. You are in a rush, you are in a some complete different zone. So those mistakes you can't avoid. Okay, so only go after things that you can actually control. Okay, some things you can't control, right? So something you can't control. So luck favors those who are lucky. जो तुक्का मारना होता है ना, वो वाला सबका सही नहीं होता है. You know how panauti you are, how unlucky you are, how lucky you are, you know all of that, right? So I will never suggest going after a guesswork. If you want to go after a guesswork, do a smart guesswork. As in, if you are able to eliminate 2 options out of 4, to eliminate 2 options out of 4 options, in though maybe you can do a bit of guesswork, because it's better to have a 50% accuracy than a 25%, right? Now, the next type of error is, this also happens, this especially happens in LRDI, guys. You go through the LRDI section in the actual mock, you are done with it, and once you look at the, once you're doing the analysis, you're like, oh no, this set was such an easy set. How did I miss it? Abhi to ye 5 minute mein ho gaya, exam mein kyun nahi pata chala? It's because of the panic scenario. It's because of the exam temperament. You read it once, you did not understand it. It's okay. Okay, so there are going to be things that you are something good at, but you will miss and you will regret. वो होगा, वो actual exam में भी होगा. आप mock में भी perfect हो जाओ, exam में भी हो जाएगा. कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. Don't worry about those. You need to really not do things which is my bad, as in something you can control, but still you will like कि मेरे को करना चाहिए. For example, riding a vehicle at a high speed. You know that today, tomorrow, 1 year later, 2 years later, every day if you're doing it, किसी ना किसी दिन होना है accident. Don't do that. Right? Same thing. And eventually there is going to be, there are going to be questions which you skipped. For example, quant me you were not able to reach until the end. Or let's say in VARC, the VA part, the last question was a parajumble. You were not able to even read through it because time elapsed. And after, during the analysis or after the exam, somebody told you, यार वो question देखा था, यार इतना difficult था ना कि I was stuck in there for like 10 minutes. You'd be thankful, अरे भैया बच गए, right? So these two will always be there. It's very difficult to get rid of these things. As in something that you're good at, you missed it. Something you're not good at, still you missed it, right? तो universe तो game खेलेगा आपके साथ. But you have to make sure that you are prepared well enough that whatever the universe is going to throw at you, you're able to at least handle that. As in, you should be able to do the first 2 for sure. ये वाला तो भाई आपके exam temperament के ऊपर है. This is all mental personality. This is not your how much subject knowledge you have. This has got nothing to do with how you look. This is not about from which background you are, science background से, art से, उससे कोई लेना देना नहीं है. The things that you can't control, right? So that's all for today. So we have begun our last lab to NMAT for 2022. We are taking sessions every day at 3 p.m. without fail. The session started from 19th. So please do join those sessions. Today also we're going to have that session where we do the revision. So it will help you solve. It will help you save, not solve. It will help you save a lot of time not doing revision separately. All you have to do is join in for an hour and a half max. The revision is done with us. And we have also started our CAT 2023 comprehensive batch. Okay, the classes have begun. We have few batches now. I have taken this session in 2 of them so far. There are more batches. Other faculties are taking, so all the teachers that you see here on BYJU'S exam prep on YouTube are the same teachers who take these sessions. So it's not like we have a different face out here and we have a different face there. So what all things you will be given there? You will be given a tablet with pre-recorded videos. You will obviously have live classrooms with 200+ hours of videos. You will be given mock tests, CAT and non-CAT, both of them. You will be given practice tests. So sectional tests and topic tests will be there with tons of questions in there. You will have recorded lectures. You will be given booklets on VRC QA so that you can hard copy wise you can solve and practice. You will be helped in your GDPI preparation, wherein you will be given 12 recorded sessions and there will be 3 live sessions regarding everything. Okay, how to tackle an interview, how to tackle a group discussion, how to do a group exercise. All of these will be helped you with, and you will be given notes and previous year CAT questions paper. Well, previous year question paper is available everywhere, but you will have the notes, which is very important, notes of the faculty, right? So if you are targeting next year's CAT, please do enroll as soon as possible so that we go slow. There is no rush. You can simultaneously study for your college exams, or if you are working, you can do that. You do not have to take pressure. If you join in the last 6 months, there is a bit of pressure, right? Don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. Everybody, please, whoever is watching, please like the video and share it with your friends who are struggling with the mocks, especially the CAT ones, right? Because I took an example of CAT exam, CAT mocks and discussed everything. And don't forget us on Instagram, Facebook and YouTube. And if you have any more queries, you can join our Telegram channel, which is BYJU'S MBA Doubts. If you want to watch more videos like these, you can download our BYJU'S Exam Prep app from Google Play. All of the links to all of these apps is given in the description below. Okay, so please click on it, download the app. That's all from my side. Thank you. Have a great day.